Hello and welcome back to another Plum overview. Today we're taking a look at the Wave Corporation Galient. And starting off the review as always with the articulation. Head is on a ball joint, which can get a full rotation. And there's also a hinge at the base of the neck. Shoulders are on a forward-facing hinge, and a peg. Shoulder armor itself is on a separate hinge, which means that the arm can get up 90 degrees easily, and if you get this past, it can get over 90. No bicep rotation, but there is a joint here, and honestly, given the actual bicep design, I understand why they omitted it there. There's a swivel here, and then a hinge in the joint, and then this is attached with a peg, so you can actually rotate at that position there too. And there's another hinge in the arm itself, so like 180 degrees, which is completely fine given how bulky the arm is. This white chunk on the arm is actually ball jointed, but I mean there's barely any movement to it. And the wrist itself is also on a ball joint. And it's a slight problem is that the wrist piece is actually a polycap, and it attaches with an open C-clip. Now, it will hold, but that is not a tight connection. And they give you 8 of these because they presume you're going to be swapping this piece. But I'm going to be honest, cut out 2 and then swap the hands onto them, and if they get worn out, swap to some of the other ones. The waist is, for the actual design of Galient, excellent. Like, little bit of ab crunch, right? But all the way back, it does open up the jointage there, but it is a joint, and also a little bit of pivot side to side. Really cool. The waist is just a rotation though, but I mean that's fine. Hips themselves, the main hip is just a regular peg, completely fine, and thankfully because of the lack of any like real skirt, it doesn't really get in the way of the legs. However, because it's Galient, you get about 45 degrees out to the side. It's not really a problem with the kit, that's just Galient's problem. There is actually a thigh rotation, weirdly. This piece is completely detached. I mean, obviously it's going to be completely detached, but it can move independently. Both the upper and lower thigh have thigh swivel, so you just have to line them up. This is more of a display piece rather than a play one. These are also on a peg, so they can rotate out of the way if you want them to. Double jointed knee, which is great. This little piece can hinge down to sort of cover the joint a little bit better too, which is nice. This ankle guard is just sort of held on with friction. This is genuinely like one of the only problems I have with the kit, is this does not really attach on the most securely. It looks fine, but I do feel like there was a better way to do it. The actual ankle itself, however, there's like a weird double hinge down system in them. And then there's a rotation. And then this big center circle is actually a hinge, but my god is it tight. And then there's an offset peg here, like with figure eyes. So you get a ankle pivot, which is fine. Also, slight toe bend. Nothing crazy, but I do appreciate it. So overall, the articulation of Galient is honestly excellent. I will say, because there's so many polycaps, some of the joints are a little bit weirdly loose feeling, and then some of the other ones are weirdly tight. But that's not too big of a deal, honestly. Nothing is so loose that it can't hold a pose, and nothing is so tight that I'm that worried about breaking it. Granted, I am worried about breaking this. Maybe you've... Well, I'll put up a card, but yeah, the last time I got a Galient to review, it didn't go so well. Now, accessories and gimmicks. There's no sticker sheet, but let's talk about color correction. Oh man. It's a wave kit, so it's a model. It's a model. This little blue gem on the head, if it'll focus, it's on a white runner, but they did paint it. However, it's not undergated, so the nubs on the top and the bottom are white if you cut it off. So you have to touch those up. Black panel lining everywhere on this. Thankfully, yellow, completely color separated. Appreciate that. The red in the center of the eyes is part of the white stripe, so you need to paint that, and then black around the eyes themselves. Not too bad so far. So, they tell you to paint the vent itself in the shoulder, the light gray, but it's actually the trim that's supposed to be light gray, so if you want it to be completely accurate, yeah, that's... It doesn't really want to show up very well, though, which is kind of weird. Yeah, you can kind of see just the trim on the red piece is supposed to be the lighter gray. Speaking of... I'm handling it, it's fine if it's actually just displayed. Speaking of light gray, there's a lot. This whole center section here, yeah, anything that's that color is this plastic. So this chunk here, which is the top of these ones, oh, I chipped a nail. These thrusters here, which have black painted around them. The vents inside here. Oh, also these stripes in here are supposed to be painted the same dark gray as this. It's like almost, it's not metallic, but it's like, feels like gunmetal, but it's not metallic, if that makes any sense. Where did that little metal flake come from? The thrusters in here, the shoulder joint, the elbow joint, and the wheels. Actually, that wasn't too bad. However, I do want to point out that all of the red on this is painted. Aside from the top of the shoulder here a little bit weirdly, that must have got missed by the airbrush. It's not even showing up on camera, actually, and it's not enough to bother me. It looks fine from it's the top of the shoulder. But yeah, the actual color of the plastic is like slightly more washed out. It doesn't look bad, mind you. It looks fine, but it's kind of like the Super Mini Plow red, if any of you have that. Like the Getter 1 or the SPT doll from the Laser line. It's kind of a slightly desaturated red. It doesn't look bad, like I said, but I wanted it to be a nice, crisp, bright red. So I mixed 40 parts Vallejo Mecha Red with 5 parts Vallejo Translucent Red from the model line. And I had to do that 3 times to do the whole thing, but... And apparently I missed the spot, but... I really like how that looks. Now... We still have to go over a little bit of painting when it comes to the accessories, so let's get into the accessories. Hands. Open hands. Thank you, Wave. Everybody but Bandai seems to still be willing to give us actual hand options. You get really nice open hands. You get left and right closed fists. And you get left and right holding hands. Now, what do you hold in those holding hands? Well, the sword, obviously. And this is where the rest of the paint goes. Again, dark gray, so the medium gray, this is literally unmixed Vallejo Mecha Color medium gray. This was medium gray with some white in it until I got to the right shade, and then I did a wet coat, a thin coat of Vallejo Metal medium over it to give it that nice sheen that's getting picked up. Not very much on the... It looks great in person. I do have I have a complaint. It's not a problem, it's just these hinge down like they're supposed to, because rather than giving you 2 hilts, they give you 1 and have you swap the blade. Now, I don't mind that, but I do kind of wish they just give us a static one, just all in one piece, and then an articulated one, or just the other hilt. Not that you're really ever going to use the whip anyway, because this is all one piece. And yeah, it's a little bit flexible, but it's all plastic. So you can't actually, like, curve it into a face. And yeah, I went in and painted the wire separately, but it is all one piece, I assure you. I understand them not wanting to, like, try and mold a wire into the part on the runner, though that would have been awesome. But, you could have at least given us all the parts and a wire and just have them stick on. Like the Confer Mines, the way they did that on the high grade Confer, where you just, you know, stick these all on. I think that would have been much better. Because as it is, I don't want to use this for anything, because I'm worried it's going to just break. And finally, you do actually get pilot figures, which is nice. Can't really complain. They are white plastic. They're on the White Runner. They do actually give you a paint guide in the back of the instructions, which is more than Bandai does. Actually, Good Smile doesn't do that either, which, come on guys, it really doesn't want to focus on it, but you get a little JoJo. I am very proud of painting these. And I say these because there is one more gimmick. Come in here. The cockpit actually opens correctly, mind you. And you have a little JoJo sitting in there. And also they actually tell you what color to paint the seat. They give you paint guides for these. It's awesome. And I do kind of wish they had sculpted the sides here to actually line up with how it looks in the show with the the teeth to it, but yeah, it looks fine. I'm not really going to have it open like that anyway. Very nice to include that. Really, it sort of gets across the sense of scale on this thing. I'm sure the audio is going to be terrible on this. After recording the review, I decided to try and put it in this pose, which, as you can see, I did accomplish. However, aside from the fact that, like I mentioned, the whip is just a solid piece of plastic, so I just had to bend the plastic to do this. Also, the tab that holds the hilt in the hand is too high for the whip mode. So again, the articulated guard is completely pointless, because you literally can't use it folded. I had to blue tack this on, and the tab is on the other side of the blade. It's actually visible, but not from this angle. Also, yeah, it's nice to have this next to Assault Galient. And of course, Galient can do the thing. You know, the thing. Rotate the head around 180 degrees, collapse in the elbow, and bring the arm out as far as it'll go. Break the knee about as far as it'll go, which I will say, I do think it's supposed to go further than this, but it doesn't want to, so whatever. Bring the feet down all the way, then break the hips. Maybe all the way, it's going a little far. You want them enough to get the torso flat like that. And you just want these to be straight as you can get them anyway. And then bring up the rear fins that are stored in the side skirt. Flip this forward, pull the head, and you pretty much have Galient in its flight mode. Yes, it does look a little silly. Okay, a lot silly. And like I said, I'm pretty sure these are supposed to collapse down a little more than this. But it works. And as for a quick size comparison, at 1/72 scale, this thing is like the size of a master grade. So, to wrap this review up, I like this kit. It's solid. There's a few little, weird things going on with it, but it's great. I may be slightly biased because Galient's my favorite mech and my favorite series, but this does the job well. It is the spitting image of the line art, and the painting is not too bad. If you don't want to paint the red, you don't really have to. I just wanted to. Aside from that, it's just the sword, the pilot figures, which you always have to paint anyway, a little bit of paint on the face, and vents and joints a lighter gray. That's nothing. And every time I hear someone talk about Wave, they talk about, like, really bad color separation and weird joints, but there's no problems with this at all. I mean, this is the most recent kit, so maybe they've massively stepped up their game for the Galient line, but I'm more than willing to try and get one of their Votoms kits at this point, if there's anything like this. This is fine. Now, I will say, however, if you thought the accessories on this were a little light, they are apparently going to be releasing Assault Galient as its own kit. Wave, if you're listening, release the accessories as their own kit too. I will buy the accessories separately. Though, the backpack might be a little bit of a problem for the shoulder cannon. I included, honestly, the back panels on the chest kind of pop off easy anyway. Just include an extra one of those so we can just swap that side off. Problem solved. I will absolutely buy that kit if you actually just sell the accessories separately. I don't need a whole other Galient, but I will buy the assault parts. Assault Galient, I'll have an image. Shield, twin rifle, shoulder cannon. That's the only difference. But like, if you want it to have a shield because it's a night mech, just get that instead. Whether you get this or the Assault Galient version, it's a solid kit. Don't let people scare you off because it's a Wave kit. Little bit of paint for color correction, but like, the base kit is solid and has good enough color correction that it's not like necessary to paint to look good. Wave really did a good job with this. Genuinely very solid. Really, the only thing I'll complain about is that I do feel like they probably could have just released Assault Galient with an alternate shoulder piece to swap out, and it would have been completely fine, rather than selling two. But I mean, hey, now they get to sell two kits with almost no retooling, so good financial sense on their part, even if I don't really like it. I really hope this does well so that we can get other Panzers, because, man, Panzer World Galient has some of the best mecha designs. Wave, if you make the others, I will buy them. Just because I'm not going to get Assault Galient because I don't need two, doesn't mean I won't buy all of the other ones. I will buy 2 Centaur. I'm assuming they're probably going to do Heicheltet's Wingall next. Probably going to be a pain to paint, but whatever, I'll do it. I should buy a Molotov chrome pen or something and just paint the whole thing chrome. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.